What's going on, everybody? It is Wednesday, November the 25th, and this is my news radar. Obviously, it is the day before Thanksgiving if you are watching this on the day that it goes live. So happy Thanksgiving for all those who do celebrate that. Maybe, a weird Thanksgiving, not necessarily able to gather with your family. But if you are celebrating Thanksgiving or whatever holiday you might celebrate on this day in other parts of the world, if at all, hope you have a good one. Hope you're all staying safe. I hope that your plans haven't been too greatly impacted by this situation in the world, but again, that you are doing what you need to do to stay safe, because that is the most important thing to be doing right now. So as we are heading closer and closer to Thanksgiving and Black Friday, the only real news stories out there are just people screaming about like sales and deals, and I don't really want to just talk about that. So I was kind of struggling to find any kind of news to talk about. And honestly, there was really just like one thing that kind of has bailed me out here that we're going to talk about. There's an article on Windows Central talking about what 2021 will look like for Windows 10 for Microsoft, and there's a few nuggets in there that I want to sort of dig into and talk about, and I guess that's kind of just what this news radar is going to be. So the first thing that we get here is they're talking about how Panos Panay has really talked about what he's calling a reinvestment in Windows 10. We don't have a lot of details as to what that means, but we do know that it appears that early, so he says fall 2021 are going to get potentially a new, pretty big update that's going to roll out a refreshed UI that is more modern and consistent. And we've had a few little hints dropped about what that might look like. In fact, Panay himself posted this on March 19th, and it sort of is, running through the UI from Windows, kind of throughout time, and it starts showing here at the end, the squares being changed to this new design appearance, this new look, the start menu changing, the color changes there as well. So we're kind of getting, I think, a glimpse in this short video about what we might be talking about here when we talk about a refreshed UI for Windows 10. In fact, here The Verge kind of has this in a looping GIF form. I tend to think that Windows 10 actually looks pretty good, especially when considered, when you compare it to some of the older versions of Windows. I think it looks fairly modern, but I think that there are some changes that can be made, and I think they will be welcome. He goes on to say that it looks like Windows is going to receive 2 feature updates in 2021, which, those are your big updates. Obviously, Windows gets updates all the time, but these are 2, feature updates, big new things, and then obviously one of them bringing the UI refresh and probably some pretty big changes. Something else that we're looking forward to in 2021 is x86 emulation for Windows 10 on ARM. And this is really important. I talked about in just a video just the other day about, Apple's M1 laptops, and basically the M1 Silicon that Apple's produced is running macOS on ARM, and the performance that they're getting on their Silicon is unbelievably impressive. The battery life, the efficiency is wild. I mean, you're talking about, performance that is better than last year's MacBooks with, a fraction of the battery being used. And I criticized Microsoft for the app compatibility on Windows. The fact that Apple launched their stuff, literally like a week ago, and Microsoft has had the Surface Pro X out for a while now, like almost, is it a year yet? And we still, the fact that those two have similar compatibility, and you might even say that Apple's compatibility might be better, that's a problem. Well, getting x86 emulation rolled out early in the year is going to be really big. And what that's basically going to do is it's going to open the floodgates where you're going to be able to run many, many more apps on your ARM-based Windows computer at a much better performance. Now, this is still worse than native ARM code. It'd be better if everybody updated and made their stuff just natively compatible with ARM. But x86 emulation is going to get you, let's say 70% of the way to the same performance as native. Hopefully we can get somewhere in that ballpark. Who knows? Maybe they can do even better than that. But it'll at least make apps much more usable. You're still not going to load up, a game and play a full 3D, high-end game on your Surface Pro X emulation there or not. It's probably not in the cards, but it's going to help a lot with app compatibility. Here's a really interesting one here that they just kind of throw into a paragraph down there at the bottom that might be the most interesting one of the article for me. He says, I'm also told Microsoft is toying with bringing Android apps to the Microsoft Store on Windows 10. I don't know how far along this plan is or when it'll ship, but I'm told it may show up in the 2021 timeframe. Now, to me, this is one that I kind of want to dig into a little bit deeper. I think that we need some context here historically. I think that when Windows rolled out UWP, or the Universal Windows Platform, their plan was to create an ecosystem wherein you were using Windows Phone on your phone, Windows 10 on your computer, and the same app would run on any of these things, and maybe a Surface, for your laptop. So you have 3 Windows devices, the same app runs across all 3 and it intelligently scales. It's not that I think that was what their plan was. That was indeed what their plan was. Now, the problem there is that they failed. And they failed for the same reason that, something like WebOS, on the Palm Pre failed. Starting a new app store after the App Store and the Play Store were already, full steam ahead is damn near impossible. Even Amazon has struggled with this. So again, the problem there is that, the idea is fine, but if there are no apps, it's like, you've got the Windows Store and that's all well and good, but then have you gone to the Windows Store? Have you looked? Because there's really not much in there that's any good at all. It's really basic stuff, and the support tends to okay. I've got myself into trouble already a couple times by decrying Surface Pro X and these things. There are things in the Windows Store that are good. If you like the Windows Store, again, I'm not saying it's 100% bad. What I'm saying is if you compare it to the Play Store or to the App Store on iOS, it is objectively worse in terms of things to get, things to do. So if there aren't apps, UWP fails. So the concept of having one app that scales fails. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because Windows Phone is dead. It's gone. So what is Microsoft using on their mobile devices now? Well, they're using Android. So it only makes sense that if they're using Android on their mobile devices now, that they find a way to put the same apps you can run on your Surface Duo into the Play Store. It only makes logical sense if they want to continue this dream, this project, this goal of being able to run the same app on your phone as on your computer. And ultimately, Windows is supposed to be about productivity, about getting things done. Well, what's more productive than if I have a good workflow on my Surface Duo with a particular app that I like the way it looks and I like the way it works, I can sit down on my computer and use that same application on my computer. That would help people's productivity, as long as the app is runs well and works properly. Currently, the only device that really, I think, gets close to this idea is, strangely enough, Chrome OS, because in Chrome OS, you have native Android app support. And I used a Chromebook as my daily driver for several years because of that, because I could do what I needed to do in the web browser, but if I needed to do something else, there was probably an Android out there that worked pretty well. And my Chromebook of choice was the HP Chromebook X2 convertible. The keyboard would pop off and it would be a full-on tablet touchscreen, good-looking 3:2 aspect ratio screen, and it worked really well as an Android tablet. I would rather have that over an Android tablet because I have a full desktop class web browser and Android apps. It works really well. So if Windows 10 can just sort of swoop in and steal that would be really impressive. Now, we would also have to have a situation where, you can't just put Android apps in the Microsoft Store. I guess they would have to be submitted. So, if Netflix makes their Netflix app on Android, well, they would have to then submit it to the Microsoft Store as well. But hopefully it's the same APK, not a bunch of hoops to jump through. So it should be pretty easy. If Microsoft can pull that off, now we're talking, that could be pretty awesome. So speaking of Chromebooks and trying to eat their lunch, Windows 10X is next on this topic. If you don't know, basically Windows 10X is Microsoft's attempt at making a lightweight version of Windows that could run on budget laptops, budget devices, and would essentially try to eat some of the pie that Chrome OS now currently dominates. They're apparently looking to start shipping in the spring of 2021. Mid-range laptops and tablets designed to compete directly with the Chromebook market, of course. Apparently, they're going to ship without local Win32 app support. So this is going to be pretty cut down, pretty restricted. You're basically going to be running, a handful of just, UWP apps, I'm assuming, which basically means that this is Windows RT 2.0. Windows RT did not do very well. I don't know what's going to differentiate this from Windows RT. Maybe Android apps? Maybe that's the secret sauce that might make this different. I don't know. Windows RT wasn't great. Windows, 10X seems pretty similar. Now, eventually they will be able to run Win32 apps locally, but that's not going to happen right off the bat. Something else that we can scroll down here and talk about is how Windows 10 Cloud PC is going to be a service where you're going to essentially have a cloud PC that you can install apps to that will then run on your local computer via streaming. So I've talked a lot about Amazon Luna, Stadia, Game Pass, so forth and so on. So let's just stream an app to your computer. And theoretically, look, if they can stream a game, they can stream an app and it'll probably work fairly well. So their solution for 10X for Win32 apps in the short term is just to stream them to you and then run them natively locally later on. He also does mention that Windows 10X should be able to run on ARM PCs at launch, but we're gonna have to wait and see how well that works. So guys, there's a huge bunch of Windows news. If you want to see this article for yourself, I'm gonna link to it in the comments down below. Again, this came straight from Windows Central, so if you like the article, go check them out. Zach Bowden is a cool dude on Twitter as well. So guys, I hope you have a lovely holiday. I hope you manage to stay safe while doing so. Stay tuned for more videos just like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends. If you enjoy my content, please consider becoming a Scary If Literal member. You'll get access to a whole bunch of emoticons to use with live streams and a shout out on an upcoming video. Thanks as always for your continued support.